Commander Jenna Reeves hadn't seen another human face in 184 days. The neural feeds and holocalls helped, but they couldn't replace the simple comfort of sharing breathing space with another person. She made her rounds through Station Helios' cramped corridors, checking systems that hadn't failed in decades. The station hung in high orbit around Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon, monitoring deep space communications and serving as a vital link in humanity's interstellar network. The isolation was worth it, she reminded herself. Someone needed to maintain these stations, these vital threads connecting human colonies across 20 star systems. The pay was exceptional, and after this rotation, she could finally afford that homestead on New Terra she'd been eyeing. The first anomaly appeared during her routine check of the quantum array, a spike in the background radiation, barely noticeable among the usual cosmic static. But something about the pattern caught her eye, a regularity that shouldn't exist in random space noise. RIA. Run a detailed analysis on Band 7. Last 6 hours, she commanded the station's eye. Analysis complete, Commander. Detecting recurring patterns with 99.97% probability of artificial origin. Source appears to be approximately 47 light-years from current position, bearing 276 Mark 42. Jenna felt her pulse quicken. First contact protocols had been established centuries ago, but they'd never been needed. Humanity had spread across nearby stars without encountering a single sign of intelligent life. Until now. Isolate the signal and begin decryption procedures, she ordered, already moving toward the main communications hub. Alert command and request immediate specialist support. Commander, ARI's usual smooth tones carried an odd note. The signal appears to be using quantum entanglement principles we haven't encountered before. It's changing our receiving equipment at the quantum level. The main display filled with cascading symbols, not any language Jenna recognized, but clearly organized with purpose. As she watched, the symbols began shifting, rearranging themselves like living things. The station's quantum processors whirred to life, running hotter than she'd ever seen. RIA. Implement quantum firewall protocols. Lock down all non-essential systems. Attempting compliance, Commander. However, the signal appears to be teaching our systems how to understand it. The next few hours were a blur of activity. Jenna coordinated with command, documented everything, and watched as her station's systems underwent changes she barely understood. The symbols gradually transformed, becoming more recognizable, more human. When the first translated message appeared, Jenna had to read it 3 times before its implications sank in. Danger. Contain an ent vorich. Gateway coordinate is follow. Prevent acti avhivon. 8 all teostis. Communication specialists and senolinguists were already en route, but they were days away at best. Whatever this message was warning about, Jenna had a feeling they didn't have that long to figure it out. The station's systems continued their mysterious transformation. Equipment that had functioned the same way for decades began showing new capabilities, interfaces morphing into configurations that somehow felt both alien and intuitive. Jenna documented everything, knowing these changes could either represent humanity's greatest breakthrough or its most terrible mistake. As she worked, a second message began forming on the screens. Time remaining before ACTIV. 10. 73 HODURs. Jenna checked the station's new readings. The source of the transmission was approaching the edge of detected space, moving at impossible speeds. Whatever was coming, she was humanity's first and possibly only line of defense. ARIA. Begin full spectrum analysis of these coordinates. I want to know exactly what we're dealing with. Calculating, Commander. Based on current data, the coordinates appear to indicate a location within Europa itself, specifically 2 kilometers beneath the ice surface. Jenna stared out the observation window at the massive ice moon below. All this time, They'd been orbiting above something that could threaten humanity's existence. And now, after countless silent centuries, whatever slumbered there was about to wake up. She opened a channel to command. "This is Commander Reeves. We're going to need every resource you can spare. Something's about to emerge from Europa, and we have less than 3 days to stop it." The quantum processors had been running hot for 18 hours straight when Dr. Nikolai Volkov arrived on the emergency shuttle. His reputation preceded him. Earth's leading expert in xenolinguistics and quantum computing had never set foot in space before this crisis. "Show me everything," he demanded, face still pale from the journey. Jenna led him to the communications hub, where alien symbols continued their hypnotic dance across the screens. "The message keeps repeating, but with variations," Jenna explained. "Each cycle teaches our systems more about their language structure. AI's translation algorithms are adapting in real time." Nikolai's fingers flew across the holographic interface. "Fascinating. The message isn't just communicating. It's evolving our technology to handle concepts we haven't discovered yet. Look at these quantum states. They're operating in dimensions we didn't know existed." Warning klaxons blared through the station. "Commander," Araya announced, "detecting massive energy spike from Europa. The coordinates mentioned in the transmission are showing increasing tachyon particle activity." New symbols cascaded across the screens, more urgent than before. The translation appeared moments later. "Gateway active. Nation sequency initiated. Containment POR2COL is failing. Immediate action required." "Whatever sent this warning," Nikolai muttered. "They knew this was coming. They've been trying to prepare us." He pointed to a recurring pattern in the data stream. "This isn't just a warning. It's instructions. They're teaching us how to stop it." Jenna studied the shifting patterns with growing dread. "Stop what exactly?" According to these readings, Nikolai's voice shook slightly. "There's something underneath Europa's ice, some kind of dormant quantum gateway, and it's waking up." The next hours were a blur of calculations and revelations. As their systems continued evolving, they began to understand more. The gateway had been built millions of years ago by a civilization far beyond humanity's current capabilities. It was part of a network spanning the galaxy, designed to allow near instantaneous travel between points. But something had gone wrong. The civilization that built it encountered something on the other side, something that forced them to shut down the entire network and sacrifice themselves to prevent it from spreading. "Look at these power readings." Jenna pointed to the latest data from Europa. "They're increasing exponentially. Whatever's down there, it's gaining strength." Nikolai nodded grimly. "The gateway is like a door. And right now, something's trying to force it open from the other side. The original builders left us the key to keeping it locked, but we have to figure out how to use it." The station shuddered as another energy wave rippled out from Europa. Equipment sparked and circuits burned out, only to reconstruct themselves in new configurations moments later. Their systems were still transforming, racing to achieve the complexity needed to understand the full message. "Commander," Araya's voice had taken on new harmonics, deeper and somehow more alive. Translation complete. "I understand what we must do, but the cost will be significant." The main screen filled with equations and diagrams that made Jenna's head spin. But Nikolai stepped back, face ashen. "No, there has to be another way." "What is it?" Jenna demanded. "What are they telling us to do?" "The gateway operates on quantum principles we barely understand," Nikolai explained. "To prevent it from opening, we need to create a quantum deadlock, a paradox state that will freeze the activation sequence. But to generate a field that powerful," he gestured at the station around them. Understanding dawned on Jenna. "We'd have to sacrifice Helios, convert the entire station's mass into quantum energy. And everyone on it," Nikolai added quietly. Another tremor shook the station. On the screens below, the countdown continued its relentless march. 31 HOURs remaining. Jenna opened a channel to command. knowing what their response would be. The station and its crew were expendable compared to the threat of whatever waited on the other side of that gateway. But as she looked at Nikolai and thought of the other specialists en route, she wondered if she could really give the order that would end all their lives. The choice would have to be made soon. Below them, Europa's ice glowed with otherworldly energy, while ancient warnings continued to flash their urgent message across transformed screens. Preventdor from OPENing. Prevent them from returning. At all coasts, 50 kilometers beneath Europa's ice, something ancient stirred. The station's enhanced sensors now penetrated deep into the moon's core, revealing structures that defied human engineering. The gateway's crystalline architecture pulsed with increasing power, sending quantum shockwaves that rattled Helios's foundations. Lieutenant Riya Patel, the station's chief engineer, arrived with the second wave of specialists. She took one look at the modified systems and knew they'd passed the point of no return. These modifications aren't just improvements, she announced during the emergency briefing. Our entire station is becoming a quantum computer. Jenna watched the transformation accelerate. Walls rippled with new circuitry, and standard displays evolved into four-dimensional interfaces. The alien message had turned their humble monitoring station into something far more advanced and far more dangerous. We've decoded another layer, Nikolai reported. The beings they were containing. They're called the Void Dancers. They exist in quantum superposition, inhabiting multiple realities simultaneously. Every gateway they touch becomes a bridgehead for invasion. And we have one right under us. Riya finished. Perfect. The station's new sensors captured glimpses through the gateway's quantum fluctuations, shadowy forms moving in impossible ways, consciousness without matter, hunger without form. Each image lasted less than a microsecond, but left the observers with nightmares that seemed to echo across realities. Aria's voice resonated through newly grown quantum crystals. Power spike detected. Gateway activation at 47%. Estimated time to full activation, 19 hours. They'd run dozens of simulations. A conventional nuclear strike would only accelerate the gateway's opening. Attempting to destroy Europa itself would scatter fragments across the solar system, each one potentially carrying a dormant gateway fragment. The only solution was the one none of them wanted to face. The quantum deadlock has to be precise, Riya explained, reviewing the calculations again. We'll only get one shot at this. The station's entire mass has to be converted at exactly the right moment, in the right quantum state. Another tremor rocked the station. Equipment crashed to the floor as gravity wavered. Through the viewport, Europa's surface had become a spider web of glowing lines as the gateway's influence spread through ancient ice. Commander, ARI interrupted, detecting multiple hull breaches. Quantum transformation is exceeding structural tolerances. Jenna received the damage reports with growing horror. The station was being torn apart by its own evolution. They couldn't wait the full 19 hours. They'd be dead long before then. New contact, Nikolai shouted. Something's coming through. The gateway's opening early. On every screen, in every crystal, the same warning flashed. They are AWAKNing. COMTENMENT failing. AKT now. Ria's hands flew across the quantum interface. If we initiate the conversion now, the field won't be strong enough. We need more mass, more energy. The supply ships, Jenna realized. 3 vessels were docked with Helios, loaded with emergency equipment and personnel. Their combined mass might be enough, but using them would mean. She opened the general channel. This is Commander Reeves. All personnel have 10 minutes to reach Helios. We're scuttling the supply ships. She paused, then added, this is not an evacuation order. Anyone who comes aboard should understand. We're not leaving. Through the quantum crystals growing across the viewport, Jenna watched Europa's surface fracture. Something was clawing its way out of humanity's closest neighbor, something that had driven an ancient civilization to acts of desperate sacrifice. History, it seemed, was about to repeat itself. The quantum convergent calculations covered every surface of the command center, glowing with otherworldly precision. 8 minutes remained until gateway breach, and Station Helios had become something its builders never imagined, a weapon of last resort. Final simulations complete, Rhea announced, her voice steady despite the circumstances. With the supply ship's mass added, we'll achieve 98% containment probability. Through the enhanced sensors, they watched the void dancers emerging. The beings existed in quantum superposition, their forms flickering between states of matter and energy. Each manifestation brought them closer to breaking through, their influence already warping local spacetime. Nikolai worked frantically at his station, the quantum interface responding to his thoughts as much as his commands. The original builders, they knew this might happen again. That's why they left the station here, in this exact orbit. They knew someone would need to finish what they started. The station's transformation had reached its final stage. Crystalline structures merged with human technology, creating something entirely new. The crew members who remained aboard found themselves connected to the station's systems in ways they couldn't fully comprehend, their consciousness expanding across quantum states. Commander, Aria's voice now resonated through the quantum lattice of the station itself. The supply ships are in position. But there's a problem. The quantum field requires a conscious mind to guide it. Someone must remain in direct neural interface until the final moment. Jenna understood immediately. Someone would have to stay fully conscious through the convergent process, experiencing every moment as their physical form transformed into quantum energy. The pain would be unimaginable. "I'll do it," she began, but Nikolai cut her off. "No, it has to be me. I'm the only one who fully understands the quantum language now. I can guide the field's formation." His hands trembled, but his voice remained firm. "The rest of you can initiate emergency quantum suspension. You won't feel anything." Through the viewport, Europa's surface erupted. The void dancers rose from their ancient prison, their forms defying physics as humanity understood it. They were beautiful in their impossibility, and utterly alien in their purpose. 3 minutes to full breach, Aria announced. Quantum conversion sequence awaiting initialization. Jenna looked at her crew, scientists, engineers, and specialists who'd volunteered to stay, knowing what it meant. Many had families waiting for news that would never come. She thought of her own dreams, the homestead on New Terra that would remain forever unpurchased. "Begin suspension sequence," she ordered. "Everyone but Dr. Volkov. Prepare for quantum stasis." As the crew took their positions, Jenna turned to Nikolai. "The historical records will show what happened here, what we did." He managed a slight smile. "History is written by the survivors, Commander. Let's make sure there are some." The quantum stasis field activated, freezing most of the crew in a state between existence and non-existence. Jenna's last conscious thought was of Nikolai, preparing to guide their sacrifice toward its target. Station Helios, humanity's farthest outpost in the Jovian system, began its final transformation. Below, the void dancers reached toward their new hunting ground, unaware that history had arranged their welcome millions of years in advance. When they found the wreckage 2 weeks later, Station Helios had been transformed into something that defied analysis. Quantum crystalline structures stretched through space where the station had once been, forming a perpetual deadlock that sealed the gateway forever. Deep within the crystalline matrix, preserved in quantum stasis, they found the crew. As the rescue teams carefully extracted them, each survivor's consciousness gradually reintegrated with normal spacetime. Their memories of the final moments were fractured, existing across multiple quantum states simultaneously. But the data cores remained intact, telling a story that would reshape humanity's understanding of their place in the cosmos. The quantum processors, evolved beyond their original design, held terabytes of information from the ancient builders, star maps, technological blueprints, and warnings about other gateways scattered throughout the galaxy. Dr. Nikolai Volkov's final neural recording became the key to decoding this vast archive. His consciousness, stretched across quantum states during the conversion, had absorbed knowledge that would have driven an unprepared mind to madness. His sacrifice gave humanity not just survival, but inheritance. Commander Reeves, after recovery and debriefing, led the first research team to study the quantum barrier. The crystalline structure had become a permanent fixture in Europa's orbit, its impossible geometries a testament to the price of survival. Deep scans showed the gateway below remained sealed, the void dancers trapped between states of existence, unable to fully manifest. The ancient builders had planned well. They had known that someday another species would face the same choice they had, sacrifice or extinction. By leaving their technology in a form that could evolve, they had given humanity both the means and the understanding to contain the threat. 5 years later, Jenna stood at a podium in the United Earth Assembly, addressing representatives from every human colony. Behind her, holographic displays showed the network of quantum barriers now protecting other discovered gateways. "We are not alone in this universe," she concluded. "But more importantly, we are not alone in our fight. Across time and space, different species have faced the same enemies, made the same sacrifices. The builders left us more than warnings. They left us hope. They proved that even in our darkest moment, intelligence and courage can triumph over chaos." The quantum remnants of Station Helios continued their eternal vigil, a lighthouse warning ships away from dangerous shores. And in the vast database recovered from its transformed systems, researchers found one final message from the ancient builders. "To those who follow, you have proven yourselves worthy of the stars. Guard them well." Deep beneath Europa's ice, the gateway remained silent, its power contained by the quantum legacy of those who chose to stand against the darkness. Humanity had passed its first great test, proving they could sacrifice their present to preserve their future. And in the endless void between the stars, other gateways waited, their secrets yet to be discovered, their guardians yet to be chosen.